Right now in the United States of America, says George Barna in the June 11th, 2000 Barna update, about 9% of the population believe in no religion. Now that means about 1 out of every 11. The converse of that is that about 85% of the people in the United States of America today say that they know there is a God. That means out of the 220 million adults in the United States of America today, about 180 million adults, if you were to walk up to them on the street and say, do you believe that there is a God? They would say, yes, I absolutely do believe that. Now, out of 180 million adults, from what I understand, the Barna research telling us, there are about 5 million that claim pure atheism. Now, I'm certainly not suggesting that we should this evening take a head count and say, okay, there's 180 million that believe in God, there are 5 million that claim pure atheism, about 20 million that would claim no religion whatsoever, thus God has it. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying at all. You and I both know that you cannot come to truth based on majority rule. But here's what I am saying. I am saying that there are some arguments that are pressing, that are powerful, and that are persuasive, that have convinced 180 million Americans to believe in a God. Now, these Americans, some of them were like Dan at one time. In fact, I spoke at a small congregation just Wednesday evening, and it just so happened that 2 of the men in that congregation, one of them was an atheist until he was 19 and converted out of atheism. The other one was an atheist until he was 43. And I asked them, I said, what caused you to convert to Christianity? And they said, the truth of the evidence. Now, sometimes Christians and those who believe in the God of the Bible are painted as superstitious, as having a faith where they'll take a leap in the dark, where they don't have the evidence to prove what they believe, but they just somehow in their heart have a warm feeling, and that's what they accept. But let me tell you, friends, that is not what the Bible says about faith. In fact, the biblical faith, Jesus Christ spoke very explicitly when He said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you. No question there, no doubt, no room for it's a possibility, there might be a chance, it's a 99% probability. This is a knowledge claim, and it's a knowledge claim that you can know. When Paul was standing before the Romans, Festus said, Paul, much learning is driving you mad. What did Paul say? Oh no, most noble Festus, I speak the words of truth and reason. That's what we are here to debate this night. Truth and reason. Now, here are 2 of the very powerful arguments for the existence of God. They don't take a PhD to understand. They don't take a rocket scientist to comprehend. They're very, very simple. But up until this time, no atheist in the history of humanity has had an adequate answer for these 2 arguments. Number 1, here's what you know. When you see design in the material world, it demands a designer. Number 2, here's what you know. There are some things that are objectively right and objectively wrong. Some things are right, some things are wrong, and they're always right, and they're always wrong. Now, let's look at that first one, the idea of design. Dan said, wow, what about the rivers? How did they all just happen to be on the state borders? Who do you think decided to make sure that the rivers were what divided the states? Humans. Intelligent designers were the ones that labeled those as the state borders. Just like a hand fits into a glove. Who designed the glove? Is that glove an accident of nature? Did you just walk out into the woods and pick up the glove and somehow it automatically, miraculously fit on the hand? Absolutely not. That glove was designed by an intelligent designer. Suppose you're walking on the beach, you look down, you see something in the sand, you move the sand away, you pick up a laptop computer. You press the on button, it comes on. You see that this laptop computing device will compute numbers, the likes of which hundreds or millions of bits per second. It's got all the latest gadgets and gizmos. It is the most advanced technological computing system that you have ever seen in laptop form. Now you have a question to ask yourself. Number 1, where did this laptop computer originate? You know there are only 2 answers to that question. Number 1, it originated by purely naturalistic processes over millions of years by random chances working with some type of selection going on. Or number two, it was constructed and built by an intelligent designer who purposely put the functional complexity into that computing device. Now, let me ask you a very serious, very easy question. You ever met anybody who said a laptop computer was not designed by an intelligent person? Never. I've never seen it, never met a person that does. Now, right now, we have a capacity crowd of 550 people in this auditorium tonight. From what I understand, several people had to be turned away, some of them flying or driving from several hours away. I'm sorry about that, but I'm glad that you had the opportunity to be here personally. Now, in this room, we've got 550 of the most amazing computing devices that have ever been devised. The human brain. The human brain weighs about 3 pounds in the average adult person. The human brain computes information, the likes of which would make any laptop computer look like a kindergartner's toy. Let me read to you a quote from a man by the name of Richard Lewin. He is a British anthropologist, and here's what he says. 10 billion neurons are packed into the brain, each of which on average has 1,000 links with other neurons, resulting in more than 60,000 miles of wiring. Connectivity on that scale is beyond comprehension. For instance, the fastest computer clocks up 1 billion or so operations a second, which pales to insignificance beside the 100 billion operations that occur in the brain of a fly at rest. To say that the brain is a computer is a truism, because what goes on in there is unquestionably computation. But so far, no man-made computer matches the human brain. Were you, as a human being, designed? It's an easy question with an easy answer. It's a question that a 6-year-old understands very well. I was discussing this with one of the gentlemen who was talking to me about the debate. He had a 6-year-old daughter. He was explaining to his daughter the two positions, me standing up for the God of the Bible, Brother Mr. Barker standing up for the idea of atheism, and the 6-year-old, when told about the atheistic idea, asked the simple question. She said, well, who does he think made him? Well, who does he think made him? And I'm certainly not attacking Dan Barker whatsoever. In fact, Dan Barker is as able of a spokesman for atheism as you can possibly